There is a discipline system older than modern psychology, older than productivity culture, older than motivation itself. It was not designed to make life comfortable. It was designed to make a human being unbreakable. Miyamoto Musashi lived in an age where failure meant death. No second chances, no safety nets, no excuses. And yet, the system he used to dominate combat, endure isolation, and remain psychologically stable still works, unchanged, today. Not because humans evolved, but because weakness did not. This is not inspiration. This is structure. This is the samurai discipline system that still works today. Chapter 1. Discipline without time. Discipline does not age. Methods decay. Motivation fades. Tools change. But discipline, when built correctly, survives centuries. Miyamoto Musashi lived in a world with no productivity apps, no psychology books, no self-help language. And yet, the discipline system he embodied still outperforms most modern systems designed today. Not because it was extreme, but because it was structural. This is where most people fail to understand Musashi. They treat him as a historical curiosity, a swordsman, a relic. But Musashi was not defined by his weapon. He was defined by how he governed himself. His discipline was not tied to era, culture, or technology. It was tied to something deeper, the mechanics of the human mind. Human nature has not changed. We still avoid discomfort. We still seek shortcuts. We still negotiate with effort. We still confuse intention with action. Musashi built a system that neutralized these tendencies. Not temporarily, permanently. This is why his discipline still works today. Modern discipline systems often begin with motivation. Musashi began with removal. He removed the idea that discipline should feel inspiring. He understood something uncomfortable. If discipline depends on feeling good, it collapses under pressure. Musashi trained himself to act without internal encouragement. Action did not follow emotion. Emotion followed action. This inversion is critical. Most people wait until they feel ready. Musashi acted because it was time to act. Time, not mood, was the trigger. This is why his discipline scaled under chaos. War, injury, fatigue, isolation. Conditions did not matter. The action remained the same. Modern systems fail because they are conditional. If I have energy, if I feel focused, if life is stable. Musashi rejected conditional discipline. He practiced absolute discipline. Absolute discipline means the rule applies regardless of circumstance. Not because you are strong, but because the rule does not care. This is why his system feels cold to modern ears. It offers no reassurance, no affirmation, no promise of balance, only inevitability. Musashi did not believe discipline was something to manage. He believed it was something to submit to. Submission is misunderstood today. People associate it with weakness. Musashi understood submission to structure creates freedom from inner chaos. When the rule is clear, the mind quiets. When the path is narrow, movement accelerates. Most people exhaust themselves arguing internally. Musashi eliminated the argument. He lived by pre-decided structure. Training occurred whether he wanted it or not. Practice continued whether he enjoyed it or not. Endurance persisted whether it was rewarded or not. This was not self-punishment. It was efficiency. Internal debate wastes energy. Musashi conserved energy by eliminating negotiation. This is why his discipline required less effort over time, not more. Modern people believe discipline becomes harder the longer you maintain it. Musashi experienced the opposite. Discipline became lighter as identity dissolved. Because effort is only heavy when the ego is involved. Ego wants recognition. Ego wants comfort. Ego wants choice. Musashi starved the ego through monotony. Repetition without variation was not boredom. It was training the nervous system. When the body repeats the same action daily, resistance fades. The brain stops questioning. Behavior becomes automatic. This is not philosophy. It is neurology. Musashi discovered this centuries before neuroscience confirmed it. Under stress, the brain defaults to habit. Musashi made sure his habits were precise. Modern people panic under pressure because their habits are inconsistent. Musashi remained calm because his habits were unbreakable. This is why his system still works today. Not because it is old, but because it is aligned with how humans actually function. Technology has changed. The brain has not. Distraction is louder now. Comfort is easier now. Excuses are more sophisticated now. But the core problem is identical. People rely on motivation to do what requires structure. Musashi did not. He designed his life so discipline did not require belief. It required obedience. This is the hardest pill for modern minds to swallow. We want discipline to feel meaningful every day. Musashi did not care how it felt. He cared that it was done. Meaning came later. Strength came later. Mastery came later. First came obedience. This is why his system does not burn people out. Burnout comes from emotional dependence, from trying to feel disciplined. Musashi removed feeling from the equation. He trained when bored, practiced when uninspired, continued when nothing seemed to change. This is where real transformation begins, not in breakthroughs, in days that feel empty. This chapter establishes the foundation. Discipline that still works today is not built on excitement. It is built on inevitability. In the next chapter, we will go deeper. Because once discipline is removed from emotion, the next enemy appears: choice. And Musashi had no tolerance for it. Chapter 2, discipline is designed, not felt. Discipline does not begin in the mind. It begins in structure. Most people believe discipline is an internal battle, a fight between what you want to do and what you should do. Musashi saw this belief as the first mistake. The mind is unstable. It changes with hunger, fatigue, weather, pride, fear. Anything built on the mind alone will collapse. So Musashi did not ask his mind to cooperate. He removed its authority. He understood a simple, ruthless truth. If discipline depends on how you feel, it is already broken. Instead of trying to become stronger than weakness, he redesigned life so weakness had nowhere to act. This is the difference between force and design. Force is temporary. Design is permanent. Modern discipline advice tells you to push yourself. Musashi never pushed. He positioned. He arranged his environment, schedule, and habits so that the correct action required the least resistance. Not the most motivation, the least resistance. Training happened at fixed times. Practice followed fixed sequences. Food was simple. Possessions were minimal. This was not asceticism for virtue. It was engineering. Every variable removed was one less opportunity for hesitation. Most people live surrounded by options. Options create friction. Friction creates delay. Delay creates excuses. Musashi stripped life down to essentials until movement became inevitable. When there is nothing else to do, there is nothing to debate. This is why his discipline did not feel heroic. Heroism requires conflict. Musashi eliminated conflict. His days were not dramatic. They were repetitive, predictable, quiet. And that was the point. Repetition without variation breaks the ego. The ego feeds on novelty, on choice, on the illusion of freedom. When every day follows the same structure, the ego starves. What remains is function. Most people try to add discipline on top of chaotic lives. Musashi removed chaos first. This is where modern people resist. They want discipline without changing their environment. They want control while keeping distraction nearby. Musashi would call this self-deception. If distraction is close, it will eventually be chosen. If comfort is visible, it will eventually be taken. If escape exists, discipline weakens. So Musashi closed doors, not metaphorically, physically. When he trained, there was nothing else present. No entertainment, no comfort, no alternative identity. This is how structure becomes authority. Authority does not negotiate. It simply governs. Most people rely on motivation because they lack structure. Musashi relied on structure, so motivation became irrelevant. This is why he could continue. When bored, when tired, when uninspired, emotion had no vote. Design made sure of that. This is the principle that still works today. You do not need more discipline. You need fewer options. You do not need more willpower. You need better architecture. Look at your own life. Where are decisions being made repeatedly? That could be decided once? Where are you asking yourself questions that should already have answers? What should I work on today? When should I train? Do I feel like doing this now? Each question is a crack. Musashi sealed cracks. Once sealed, energy stopped leaking. Action became efficient, cold, consistent. This is why his discipline scaled under pressure. When chaos increased, his structure held. Modern people collapse under stress because stress multiplies decisions. Musashi removed decisions in advance. Under pressure, he did not rise. He remained. This chapter reveals a hard truth. If discipline still feels fragile, your structure is incomplete. You are relying on internal strength instead of external design. Musashi trusted design more than desire because desire changes. Design endures. In the next chapter, we go deeper, from structure to command, where discipline no longer feels imposed, but absolute, where the self no longer asks, only executes. That is where true control begins. Chapter 3, Repetition without variation. Most people believe discipline fails because life becomes difficult. Musashi understood something colder. Discipline fails because repetition is abandoned too early. Not because it is painful, but because it is boring. Boredom is the true enemy. Pain sharpens attention. Fear activates the body. Difficulty can even feel meaningful. But monotony offers nothing. No reward, no stimulation, no identity. And that is precisely why Musashi embraced it. He understood that repetition without variation is not a flaw in discipline. It is the mechanism that destroys the ego. The ego needs novelty to survive. It feeds on progress stories, visible change, and emotional highs. When every day looks the same, the ego starves. Musashi trained the same movements, at the same time, in the same order, for years. Observers mistook this for stagnation. They were wrong. What stagnates the ego strengthens the system. Most people change routines when they feel bored. Musashi changed only when repetition had fully rewritten the body. This is where modern discipline collapses. People want optimization before obedience. They ask, is this the best method? Could there be a faster way? Should I switch strategies? Musashi asked none of this. He understood that effectiveness comes after consistency, not before. Variation gives the illusion of progress. Repetition produces actual transformation. Every repeated action carves a deeper groove in the nervous system. The body learns faster than the mind, but only if the signal is consistent. Variation introduces noise. Musashi removed noise. This is why his movements became fluid under pressure. Not because he practiced harder, because he practiced the same thing longer. When danger arrives, the mind disappears. Only what has been repeated remains. Most people train for performance. Musashi trained for inevitability. Repetition without variation removes decision-making. The body no longer asks what to do. It knows. This is the difference between discipline that collapses and discipline that survives. Modern people become disciplined for a phase. Musashi became disciplined as a condition. He did not chase mastery. He let mastery emerge as a side effect of repetition. This required humility. Repetition without variation offers no recognition, no visible milestones, no applause. You look the same for a long time. You feel the same. Others assume nothing is happening. This is where most quit. Musashi did not. He trusted the invisible accumulation. He understood a brutal truth. What changes you the most feels like nothing while it is happening. Real transformation is silent. Repetition also neutralizes emotion. When an action is repeated enough times, emotion becomes irrelevant. You act whether you feel good or not, whether you are inspired or empty. This is where discipline detaches from mood. Musashi did not train when motivated. He trained because it was time, and because it was time yesterday, and because it would be time tomorrow. Emotion had no role. This is why his discipline aged well. Emotion decays. Habit compounds. Most people want discipline to feel meaningful every day. Musashi allowed discipline to feel meaningless for years. Meaning came later, after the system was complete. Repetition without variation also exposes weakness quickly. When the same action is repeated, flaws cannot hide. There is no novelty to distract from inconsistency. Every deviation becomes obvious. This forces refinement, not through thinking, through correction. Musashi refined himself through contact with reality, not reflection. The body adjusted. The mind followed. This is the opposite of modern self-improvement. Modern systems overthink and underrepeat. Musashi underthought and over-repeated. This made his discipline resilient, unimpressive, unbreakable. He did not need to feel powerful. Power arrived anyway. There is a psychological death that happens during repetition. The desire to be special fades. You stop expecting results. You stop needing progress stories. You simply show up. This is when discipline crosses a threshold, from effort to function, from personal to mechanical. Most people never reach this stage because they abandon repetition once it stops rewarding them emotionally. Musashi waited for the reward that comes only after the ego is gone. That reward is stability. When your actions no longer depend on how you feel. When boredom no longer threatens consistency. When repetition no longer feels like sacrifice. At that point, discipline no longer requires maintenance. It runs. This chapter leaves you with an uncomfortable question. Where in your life do you keep changing the method to avoid repetition? Where do you seek novelty to escape monotony? Those are the places where discipline is weakest. Musashi would not change them. He would repeat them until resistance vanished. In the next chapter, we move colder still. Because once repetition is mastered, force becomes unnecessary. And Musashi never relied on force. He relied on precision. Chapter 4, Repetition without variation. Most people fail not because they quit once. They fail because they change too often. They adjust. They experiment. They chase novelty disguised as improvement. Musashi did none of this. He understood a truth that modern minds resist. Variation feeds the ego, not mastery. Repetition is where discipline is forged. But repetition without variation is where the self begins to erode. This chapter is where Musashi's system becomes uncomfortable, because it attacks the part of you that wants progress to feel interesting. Musashi repeated the same actions, at the same time, in the same order, with the same intensity, day after day, season after season, not because he lacked imagination, but because he understood what imagination does to discipline. It interferes. The ego craves change. It wants to feel clever. It wants to believe it is evolving. Musashi was not interested in feeling evolved. He was interested in becoming inevitable. Repetition without variation removes the ego's role in the process. There is nothing to optimize, nothing to personalize, nothing to decorate, only execution. This is why his discipline did not depend on excitement. Excitement is fragile. It fades. Repetition builds something colder. Endurance. Most people treat boredom as a signal to stop. Musashi treated boredom as proof that the system was working. Boredom means the ego is starving. And when the ego starves, behavior becomes clean. This is where discipline becomes automatic. When the mind realizes there is no reward for complaining, it goes quiet. Modern systems encourage variety to maintain motivation. Musashi eliminated motivation entirely. He did not ask whether he wanted to train. Training was simply what happened next. This is the difference between ritual and routine. Routine is flexible. Ritual is fixed. Musashi's days were ritualized. The same waking hour, the same physical practice, the same sword drills, the same solitude. This consistency rewired his nervous system. The body learned before the mind. Action preceded thought. Over time, repetition carved pathways deeper than conscious intent. This is why, under pressure, Musashi did not rise to the occasion. He defaulted to structure. Structure always outperforms intention. When fear enters the body, conscious thought collapses. Only trained patterns remain. Musashi trained patterns, not emotions. He did not practice to feel strong. He practiced to remove the need to feel anything at all. This is why repetition, without variation, feels merciless. It offers no stimulation, no reassurance, no visible reward, only continuity. Most people abandon repetition right before it starts working. They confuse discomfort with inefficiency. Musashi recognized discomfort as the gateway. When repetition becomes uncomfortable, you are approaching the point where identity begins to dissolve. This is where discipline stops being something you perform and starts being something you inhabit. The modern obsession with optimization weakens discipline. Every adjustment reintroduces choice. Every choice reintroduces negotiation. Musashi eliminated both. He did not chase better methods. He perfected execution. This is why his discipline scaled across years, not weeks. He was not looking for progress that could be measured daily. He was building permanence. Repetition without variation also creates honesty. There is nowhere to hide. If you fail, it is visible. If you succeed, it is undeniable. No novelty to mask inconsistency. This strips away self-deception. Musashi did not lie to himself. He allowed the repetition to expose weakness, and he returned the next day anyway. This is why his discipline outlasted ambition. Ambition burns fast. Repetition burns slow, but it never goes out. This chapter is a warning. If you constantly change your approach, you are not refining discipline. You are avoiding boredom, and boredom is the price of mastery. Musashi paid it willingly, because boredom is temporary. Structure is permanent. In the next chapter, we move deeper still, because repetition alone is not enough. Repetition must eventually kill the identity that resists it. And that is where discipline stops being an act and becomes a state. Chapter 5. The Death of Comfort. Comfort is not rest. Comfort is erosion. Musashi understood this long before the modern world turned comfort into a religion. He saw what comfort does to the mind when it is allowed to stay too long. It softens perception. It delays reaction. It teaches the body that survival does not require alertness. A comfortable man reacts slowly. A disciplined man reacts immediately. This chapter is where most people quietly fail. Not because they are weak, but because they are protected. Modern life shields you from friction. Warm rooms, endless food, constant distraction, painless days that require nothing from you except attention. Musashi chose the opposite. He did not seek suffering for drama or identity. He sought exposure. Exposure to cold, hunger, repetition, silence. Not because these things were noble, but because they stripped illusion. Comfort creates false confidence. You feel capable because nothing is demanding you. Musashi rejected this illusion. He believed ability must be proven daily, under strain, without ceremony. So he trained where comfort could not follow. Cold mornings, hard floors, simple meals, long solitude. These were not punishments. They were calibration tools. Comfort dulls feedback. Discomfort sharpens it. When your body is comfortable, it lies to you. It tells you everything is fine even when you are stagnating. When your body is uncomfortable, it tells the truth. Fatigue reveals weakness. Cold reveals mental fragility. Hunger reveals attachment. Musashi used these signals as information. Modern discipline avoids discomfort. Musashi relied on it. He understood that discomfort is not the enemy of discipline. It is the environment where discipline becomes visible. Anyone can perform in comfort. Discipline only matters when conditions degrade. This is why Musashi's system still works today. It is not tied to era. It is tied to human biology. The nervous system adapts to what it is repeatedly exposed to. If you live in comfort, your baseline lowers. Small problems feel large. Minor resistance feels unbearable. You become reactive. If you live in controlled discomfort, your baseline rises. What once felt difficult becomes neutral. What once caused hesitation becomes irrelevant. Musashi raised his baseline intentionally. He did not ask how to make life easier. He asked how to make himself harder to break. This distinction changes everything. Most people organize their lives to avoid discomfort. Musashi organized his life to encounter it deliberately and consistently. Not randomly, not chaotically, but predictably. This is crucial. Random hardship creates trauma. Structured hardship creates strength. Musashi controlled the dose. He trained in ways that were uncomfortable but repeatable, difficult but sustainable, harsh enough to demand attention, but stable enough to allow mastery. This is discipline, not masochism. Pain without structure destroys. Pain with structure instructs. Every uncomfortable repetition taught him something. About posture, about breath, about tension, about impatience. Comfort hides these details. When you are uncomfortable, small inefficiencies become loud. Bad habits surface. Weak thoughts appear. Musashi welcomed this exposure. He did not interpret discomfort as a signal to stop. He interpreted it as a signal to refine. This is where modern minds break. They feel discomfort and immediately look for relief. Musashi felt discomfort and looked for precision. What can be adjusted? What can be simplified? What can be removed? Comfort encourages addition. More tools. More strategies. More explanations. Discomfort demands subtraction. Musashi's life became simpler over time because discomfort punished excess. Excess movement wastes energy. Excess thought creates delay. Excess emotion destabilizes timing. Under discomfort, only what is essential survives. This is why Musashi's technique became minimal. Why his habits became sparse. Why his life lost ornamentation. Comfort allows decoration. Discipline requires function. This chapter reveals an uncomfortable truth. If your discipline collapses when conditions worsen, it was never discipline. It was convenience. Musashi trained when bored, when cold, when alone, when no reward was visible, not to prove toughness, but to remove dependency. Dependency is fragility. Dependency on mood. Dependency on comfort. Dependency on praise. Dependency on perfect conditions. Musashi cut these dependencies one by one. What remained could function anywhere. This is why his discipline did not expire with age, success, or isolation. It was not supported by environment. It was forged against it. Ask yourself, without emotion, where in your life have you optimized for comfort at the cost of capability? Where have you confused ease with sustainability? Comfort feels sustainable because it is pleasant, but it weakens over time. Discipline feels harsh because it is honest. Musashi chose honesty. In the next chapter, we move deeper still, past comfort, past endurance, into something colder, the death of identity. Because as long as you are protecting who you think you are, discipline remains conditional. And Musashi allowed nothing conditional to survive. Chapter 6, Discipline that Survives Time. Most systems fail because they depend on context. They work only when conditions are right, when energy is high, when life is simple, when pressure is low. Musashi's discipline did not depend on conditions. That is why it still works. Centuries have passed. Weapons changed. Societies collapsed and rebuilt. Technology replaced muscle. Yet the structure of the human mind did not change. Fear still appears. Comfort still seduces. Ego still resists repetition. The mind still searches for excuses. Musashi built his discipline for this reality. Not for a specific era. Not for a battlefield alone. For the human nervous system. This is the mistake modern people make when studying the past. They romanticize the tools, the swords, the armor, the rituals. Musashi ignored tools. He trained function. Function survives time. He understood something that modern systems forget. Discipline must work when everything else fails. When motivation disappears. When clarity is gone. When life becomes chaotic. This is where his system proves itself. Musashi did not design discipline to feel meaningful. He designed it to remain operational. This is why his discipline looks harsh to modern eyes. Because it does not care about your comfort. It cares about continuity. Most modern discipline systems are built around emotion. They encourage you to feel inspired, to feel aligned, to feel passionate. Musashi removed feeling from the equation, not because feelings are evil, but because they are unreliable. He knew that emotion rises and falls. Structure must remain, so he built discipline around unchanging anchors. Time, place, sequence, repetition. These anchors do not negotiate. When the hour arrives, the body moves. When the sequence begins, it completes. When repetition is required, it repeats. No interpretation. This is why his system scales across centuries. The same principles that governed his training govern your habits today. Your body still responds to repetition. Your mind still obeys structure. Your nervous system still stabilizes under predictability. Discipline that survives time must bypass intellect. Intellect changes with culture. Biology does not. Musashi trained biology. This is why his discipline works, even when you don't believe it. You can doubt it. You can resist it. You can dislike it. But if you follow it, it will work. Because it does not require agreement. It requires execution. This is the brutal honesty of Musashi's system. It does not persuade. It functions. Most people today are overwhelmed not because life is harder, but because their systems are fragile. Too many decisions. Too many options. Too much flexibility. Flexibility feels humane, but under pressure, it collapses. Musashi built rigidity where it mattered. Not in ideology, in behavior. His discipline allowed no improvisation at the foundation level, only refinement on top. This is why he could adapt in combat. Structure made adaptation possible. Without structure, adaptation becomes panic. This is the paradox most people miss. Discipline does not limit freedom. It creates it. When the base is fixed, the mind is free to observe. When habits are stable, awareness expands. Musashi's calm did not come from detachment. It came from certainty. Certainty that his body would obey. Certainty that his actions would follow law. Certainty that hesitation would not appear. This certainty is what survives time. Not techniques. Not slogans. Certainty is built through repetition under constraint. This is why modern people struggle to replicate ancient discipline. They want the feeling without the cost. Musashi paid the cost. Years of monotony, isolation, silence, unrewarded effort. He accepted that discipline is not glamorous. It is not expressive. It is quiet and repetitive. But it produces something rare. Stability. Stability is power. When you are stable, chaos loses leverage. When you are stable, pressure sharpens instead of breaking you. This is why Musashi's system still works today. Because life still applies pressure, and pressure reveals weak systems. His discipline does not collapse under pressure. It becomes clearer. This chapter exists to correct a dangerous illusion. That ancient discipline is outdated. It is not outdated. It is unfinished in most people. You do not need to live like a samurai. You need to train like one, not with weapons, with structure. In the final chapter, we will seal this system, not with inspiration, but with inevitability, because the ultimate form of discipline is not something you return to. It is something you cannot escape. Chapter 7. The State That Cannot Be Broken. At the end of Musashi's discipline system, there is no victory moment, no celebration, no sense of arrival. There is only stability. This is the state Musashi forged himself into, a condition where nothing inside you argues, and nothing outside you controls you. Most people believe strength feels intense. Musashi proved the opposite. True strength feels quiet. When discipline has fully integrated, there is no emotional charge attached to action. You wake, you move, you act, not because you feel driven, inspired, or courageous, but because deviation no longer occurs to you. This is the final outcome of the samurai discipline system. A life where discipline no longer feels like discipline. It feels like gravity. Musashi did not maintain control by constant effort. He removed the need for effort entirely. This is what modern minds struggle to understand. They believe self-control is a daily battle. Musashi turned it into a permanent condition. By the time he reached this stage, temptation had lost relevance. Not because he resisted it, but because there was nothing left for temptation to negotiate with. Temptation requires a divided mind. Musashi was no longer divided. Earlier, he eliminated choice, then impulse, then emotional authority, then ego identity. What remained was a single line of motion. When a system has no branches, it cannot be shaken. This is why Musashi's discipline endured through isolation, injury, fatigue, boredom, and danger. The system did not depend on favorable conditions. It was designed for hostility. This is the difference between discipline that collapses and discipline that survives. Most people build discipline for good days. Musashi built it for the worst ones. In the unbreakable state, setbacks no longer feel personal. Failure does not trigger identity collapse. Pain does not demand explanation. Difficulty does not provoke drama. Everything is processed the same way. Observe, adjust, continue. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional irrelevance. Feelings still exist, but they no longer issue commands. Musashi understood something deeply unsettling. Emotions are not guides. They are weather. You do not consult the rain before walking forward. This is why his calm, unnerved opponents, they mistook it for confidence. It was not confidence. Confidence still reacts to outcomes. Musashi's state did not react. It remained. When pressure increased, others became erratic. He became clearer. When chaos spread, others accelerated. He slowed. When fear entered the room, others stiffened. He sharpened. This is what happens when discipline reaches its final form. There is no internal negotiation left to exploit. At this stage, people will begin to misunderstand you. They will say you are rigid, obsessive, extreme. They will not understand that what they see as rigidity is actually freedom from instability. Their lives feel flexible because they are constantly adjusting. Yours feels narrow because it no longer needs adjustment. Musashi accepted this isolation, not because he sought it, but because he understood that unshakable systems cannot be built inside noisy environments. This is the final cost of his discipline. You become difficult to influence, not because you resist others, but because you no longer need validation, permission, or reassurance. Your standards do not move. Your actions do not fluctuate. Your direction does not change. This is not arrogance. Arrogance still seeks comparison. This state has no reference point. Musashi was not trying to be better than others. He was trying to be unmovable. And once achieved, nothing could take that from him. Not defeat, not age, not isolation, not obscurity. Because his discipline was no longer something he practiced. It was something he had become. This is the samurai discipline system in its completed form. No motivation, no inspiration, no dependence on mood, only structure so internalized that it functions automatically. If you take nothing else from this series, take this. Discipline does not free you by giving you power. It frees you by removing instability. And when instability is gone, nothing can break you. Not because you fight harder, but because there is nothing left to collapse. This is the state Musashi forged. And it is still possible today, if you are willing to walk the same narrow path. Slowly, silently, without compromise. This system was never lost. It was abandoned because it demands surrender, because it removes comfort, because it does not care how you feel, but it still works. If you want more videos on ancient discipline systems, warrior psychology, and mental control, subscribe and activate notifications. And ask yourself one question. Where in your life do you still rely on motivation instead of structure?